What is up, everybody? It is UFC Vegas 29 best bets. We got Korean Zombie versus Ige in that main event. We're going to talk about some of the best bets to do for this card. Definitely one of those cards where you got to be cautious betting. You don't want to go too insane here. Some other cards, more somewhat predictable outcomes, but there's going to be some wild fights here, some really intriguing matchups. Overall, though, I am pretty pumped for it. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Goal on this video, we got to get at least 75 likes for this best bets video. It's a series I always really do enjoy doing, but just don't always end up doing it, at least last week rather. But I am going to be doing it this week, and from now on, we're going to be doing it. And let me know, do you guys like this series? Because, it's going to be a main staple if you guys definitely do. Shout out everybody watching live. Shout out to Taj and Bufo the Beat in the live chat. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you guys are new here. And yeah, we're live right now. This is live action, my guy. So let's get into it. We're gonna start it off talking about some bets that I think have some value. I do have to tell you guys, this is a card that's tricky. It is. It most definitely is. Some cards, you just have different inklings. A lot of competitive matchups. I want to go over, like, the potential locks of the night. I always say locks of the night with the air quotations because at the end of the day, it's MMA. There are no locks, and especially this card. Some really close matchups. So, the locks of the night, we have a few of them. The first one I do want to talk about, Bruno Silva. Hot prospect, beat Alexander Shlemenko. Good skill set. Striking takes on Wellington Turman. You look at Wellington, last fight knocked out by Andrew El Dirty Sanchez. At the minus 125 money, if you can find Bruno Silva at that, I actually believe it's a steal. I think he's a really hot prospect on the rise. I like the skill set. We'll quickly bring it up right here. Where is our boy Bruno Silva? 19-6 as a pro. Good 4 in a row little streak, and all wins by knockout. He is one of the locks of the night. I do think he has value, especially at close money. If you can get him below 150, minus 150, I do think he's worth the bet on this card. He's one of those guys that I do have a good amount of confidence in. Now, another lock of the night, potential lock of the night, Sergey Spivak in that co-main event takes on Aleksei Oleinik. He's sitting around the minus 210 range, which decent value, and I do think you could put some money down. Let's look at Oleinik real quick. We'll pull up that card because I want to talk about how bad Oleinik has looked as of late. He's looked slower than ever. He's always been slow. He's pushing 44. He's taken on a 26-year-old who's on a win streak. Lost to Marcin Tybura by decision. Absolute no shame. And how good is Tybura on the ground? He's an animal. Walt Harris knocked him out. Not a bad loss. Also, Oleinik got knocked out in like 17 seconds by Walt Harris. On the other side, you got Oleinik on the 2-fight losing streak. Lewis knocks him out, and Dawkins beats him. Sergey Spivak, pretty well-rounded guy. He's going to beat Aleksei Oleinik here. I do actually think he'll beat him by a decision. I think we're probably looking late. Could see a TKO in the second round, but man, I'm really leaning decision. I like Spivak at the minus 200-ish money. I don't think he's a terrible play. I think there's some value on him if you want to throw down. Definitely somebody we'll talk about in the parlays a bit later on. Heavyweight MMA action obviously is an inherent risk, but when you have a guy like Aleksei Oleinik who's not dangerous with striking. Like, he's just not a dangerous striker at all. Aleksei Oleinik's striking is simply to get fights to the ground, and Spivak very well rounded. He wins that fight. Another lock of the night. Now, I do want to bring you at least 3 locks of the night. This is not as easy for this one, so I guess this would be like the bottom level of the confidence for the lock of the night, but I still think I'm pretty confident, especially matchup-wise. Joaquin Silva versus Rick Glenn, the 2 Silva locks of the night. If you look at Rick Glenn, he's been off for years. He's up a weight class. I don't think he goes out there and beats Joaquin Silva, explosive striker. Natural 155er, does have a win over Jared Gordon by knockout. He has the knockout ability for sure. He's dynamic and explosive on the feet. Glenn a bit slow and sluggish, even at 45 2 years ago. Now, all that time off, I don't see it going well for him. Joaquin Silva, another lock of the night. I do think he gets a knockout in that matchup as well. But now it's time to talk about the next segment of this video, which is the dogs of the night. Who are some dogs that maybe have some value here that we should throw down on? We'll see. We're going to check them out. And I believe there's definitely a few here. Now, let's say the first dog that I want to talk about it's gotta be Julian Juicy J. Erosa. Has pulled off upsets in the past. Rangy striker, good skill set. I think that in this matchup here against Sung Woo Choi, both good striking. Julian Erosa, more experience, I think has the more well-rounded ground game. I actually think very competitive striking fight. I think Erosa on a close decision in that matchup. At the plus 125-ish money, I don't think it's terrible value, and I do think you guys can definitely bet down on that one. Let's keep it going, though, and let's look at a few more, because I do think there is another dog of the night, Kanako Murata. Stylistically, I do think it's a decent matchup, but confidence level dropped substantially versus my confidence in Julian Erosa to get the upset victory. I do believe we're going to see Murata win the fight on a very hard-fought competitive decision, but doesn't have that supreme confidence on my ends. But I still do see victory. Not easy. Jandiroba, good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I got to go with the control, top pressure, and wrestling ability of Kanako Murata to beat her. That's why I like the dog there. Overall, there's a couple decent dogs here. There's definitely dogs with possibilities that aren't in the dogs of the night, but still some decent dogs. And I will talk about some possible bets, some straight bets that I think have value, some guys that should win. Dan Ige at the top, I do like him. If you are looking to bet him straight, I think that's a valuable bet, especially if you can get it below minus 125 for him. If you get it at minus 115, pick'em's odds. I like the bet on Dan Ige. And if you're on the other side, Chan Sung Jung, granted, there'd be value there as well, but I see Ige beating him, better boxing skill, faster, and obviously younger guy too. Another play that I think is pretty I think Marlon Vera really should beat Davy Grant in the rematch. You really should. He's improved tenfold. Grant, older now, still very good, though. A fun matchup, and I'm excited to see them run it back. I feel like we're going to see Marlon Vera beat him on a decision. I think he's another guy, some value in the play if you can get it below the minus 225 tag. I think minus 196, if you find that at, bet that down. A lot of value there, that potential play, and there will be another potential play. This one, a potential dog play. I'm going to call this the potential dog play, but these all right now I am listing possible plays, people that should win, that I have confidence betting in them, but I don't want to throw that lock tag. I do think there's a chance Matthew Selmansberger does beat Chaos. He could get knocked out, but he could wrestle the hell out of Chaos and win that fight. Least confidence of all the plays I lifted is in Matthew Selmansberger, but I do still think money-wise there's some value there, and there is another one we have to talk about. Alessa Kiamur, I do think should beat Nikolai Negaramu, but I think he's more of a parlay pickup. That's why he's the last one I'm talking about here, simply because value-wise, if you get him minus 235, minus 245, a lot of money to put down on an unproven guy in Kiamur who's beaten no names, essentially, beating all right people, but what was it? Justin Ledette is the biggest win on his resume. That's not really that big of a win. He beat him by a decision. Should probably win a decision here against Negaramu. Which is, I mean, Nikolai Negaramu, kind of just not all that good. Like, he hasn't fought anybody with a skill set that is all that high level. So I like Alessa Kiamur in that matchup. I now want to move to the next section. It is the props to play, some props that I feel like have value. We'll go over some ones that I think have some good chance of delivering, and then I also will talk about more of the Hail Mary type props. So we'll start it off, though. I do think both of the Silvas, Bruno Silva and Joaquin Silva, by a knockout. You look Silva by KO, plus 200 here. I think he can knock out Wellington Turman as long as he can stay off his back. I believe he will. And then also Joaquin Silva, look at him down here. What is he at? Plus 510 for knockout. Old Rick Glenn. I think he can put Rick Glenn away at this point. Rick Glenn doesn't look great. Some potential plays with props there if you're looking to throw down. Another prop that I do think could have some potential value, Sergey Spivak to win by a decision. I know it's unlikely, right, that Oleinik goes the distance. He's not a guy that normally does. But if Spivak were to win by a decision, he's proven he can do that. He can go the distance. Not an easy guy to finish. Plus 677 for a Spivak decision. Not a bad sprinkle down as well for that one. So those are definitely some props that I think have some value at the top. Dan Ige, I want to see what the money's at before I confirm if it's valuable. But I do think, like, on this fight here, do I see it going over 3.5? I really do. Let's quickly pull up the matchup for Ige and Chan Sung Jung. I could see potentially Ige knocking him out in the third round, but Not a guy that's easy to finish himself, and it's not like Korean Zombie is either. I think we're probably looking at championship rounds in this fight. Maybe you bet fight goes the distance at minus 105, or maybe you do, an over 2.5 or over 3.5. Smart money. Both really should deliver unless Dan Ige or Chan Sung Jung really just walks into a shot. Both durable, both good strikers. Excellent matchup in the main event. I got Dan Ige winning, and another play that I don't think is terrible is if we did bet Ige to win by a decision at plus 250. Not terrible. Obviously, it's not one of the first ones I talked about, so more riskier there, but still has some relative value. I mean, if you wanted to, Oleinik, actually, the money was not great. I'm curious. Oleinik's submission was only plus 325. It was 1,000, plus 1,000. Maybe there's some value there. Kanako Murata, decision win is another play that I do actually like for props. Murata to win by a decision. Let's see here, Murata decision. Plus 175 for a Murata decision. I think that's how she wins the fight. I like the value there. She's a dog, but betting a dog straight is not a bad idea either, especially you don't have to worry then if she has this amazing performance and ends up getting a stoppage. Vera versus Grant. It's not like Davey Grant's a chinny guy. He's mostly, I think he's only been submitted before, not a guy that's been knocked out. That's valuable in itself for this matchup. Vera can finish you, but he can also go the distance. Vera wins by a decision, plus 190. Funny that he lost the first fight and he's, minus 200 favorite. Makes sense, though, because where they're at this point of their careers, Vera is on his way top contender. I mean, him and Aldo had a great fight. And on the other side, Grant on a 3-fight winning streak as well. He looked like he was getting old, but absolutely not. Proves us totally wrong. He's got a nice thing going. He's got 3 fights in a row, and he beat Jonathan Martinez by knockout in that last one. That was an impressive KO win. I don't really recommend you go for these heavyweights because I think the Josh Parisian Roque Martinez fight might be a really bad fight. Casey O'Neill, Laura Procopio. I think this fight, both grapplers. I think we're looking at 3. Fight goes a distance, minus 245. As far as if we were to have Procopio win by submission, O'Neill wins inside the distance. Where is it? O'Neill wins. Procopio wins by a decision here. I think Procopio decision at plus 110 isn't worth it. I would rather just bet straight, especially if it's women's MMA. I think those are some decently valuable parlays you can play. Could Matt Brown touch the chin of Diego Lima and knock him out? Definitely, as chinny as Lima has looked in the past. Granted, he's looking like his resistance is higher. Brown only has an inside the distance play released right now at plus 333, but if the knockout prop is there for like plus 600 or more, one of those things that you could sprinkle down $10 and really cash back nicely if he does. More of a lottery ticket play. But those are some decent plays, I think, as far as the prop bets do go. I do want to talk about parlays. As I said earlier in the week, for this card, we don't want to go crazy on the parlays. I'll also check up on that live chat. Let's see what they're talking about in this live chat. And if you guys got any parlays that you want me to do, I'll definitely throw down. Let's see. No parlays this weekend for you, Bufo? Yeah, man, I understand why. One of my best series. Hey, I appreciate you, man. You got Turman? Hey, maybe. You know what's the value for Turman sub? You know what? You're right. I'm glad that I checked the live chat. Let's see. Turman by sub with his good jiu-jitsu. Turman by a submission. Plus 500, not bad. If you do feel like Turman is going to win, which if he does get it to the ground, there's an argument he could, even though I got Silva on the other side. Might not be a bad idea to play a little sprinkle on Turman submission, though I personally riding on the other side. I mean, at the end of the day, the fight game, anything can happen. But let me get back to that live chat here. This is a hard card. Next week's more promising. Still a fun card, though. Gotta throw a little bit down. Yeah, Juicy J's a money one. You got Troy getting the W. PFL weigh-ins. Yeah, I'm going to do a weigh-in recap at some point tonight. Worst case, I will do it tomorrow in the morning, but I should be able to do it tonight. I'll see what's going on here. Ige, you like Ige? Yeah, I like Ige. Orza gets hit way too much. You think he's going to get knocked out by Troy? I feel like the chin's decent, though, even though back in the day he got knocked out by the GOAT. Cheeto inside the distance because Marlon is, when he goes the distance, he has Grant. Yeah, I just think Grant's not an easy guy to put away, man. And do I read the chat? I always make time for the chat. You're scared it's going to end in the first? It could. Zombie third round submission. Wow, that's an interesting bet. Cheeto knockout. Nice. Yeah. So, I'll be covering the weigh-ins. We'll go through it in a little while. Appreciate you guys for all tuning in live. If you're watching on replay, love you as well. Smash that like button if you have not already. As I said, go on this video, 75 likes. Let's keep this series alive. Let's get this series to the mainstream. It's gonna keep improving the more we do it. And now it is time for the parlays. Let's talk about it. Some potential plays, some things that I feel like could have some value. We are not going crazy with parlays this week. We are playing it intelligently. So we're going to go Sergey Spivak and Joaquin Silva for a plus 161. You're looking for a parlay and you want to be smart about it? That's the one right there. I think that should be a pretty money play and fairly good to go. Don't recommend women's MMA all the time, but Procopio should get the win for plus 146 in this matchup. Another decent play if you're not feeling the Joaquin Silva bet. And then also Marlon Vera, minus 200, plus 121. Spivak, Vera, plus 121 is actually pretty good value, especially how proven Marlon Vera is. And I think he's on fire right now. And I do think he's going to beat up Davy Grant. I do think he beats him. So this right here, those three listed are some decent two-fight plays. If you want to start adding some more juice to him, potentially throwing some more people down, you could add Vera and you could add Joaquin Silva for plus 292. Kind of a money three-fighter parlay. As soon as you pass that 2 mark, you're getting into the danger zone. But we're not in the absolute red territory because I do think this really comes through for us and should deliver. Alexa Kimura, super unproven, which is dangerous and scares me. But for plus 452 money, could potentially work. I am going to take him off for now, and I am going to add in Bruno Silva up here. Fun prospect on the rise. Plus 605 for this 4-fight parlay. On this card especially, Hail Marys are pretty much 4-fighter parlays. Like, there's definitely so many competitive matchups. Things could flip either way. Who's on that night and who's off? I mean, you look, last week, Davison Figueiredo, he talked about how he was totally off. Granted, I don't have that as an excuse. Moreno was just on fire that night and beat him up. I was so impressed by Moreno. I was really glad to see Moreno win. It's a great guy overall. One of the most likable guys in the fight game. So the 2 Silvas, Vera and Spivak for plus 605. Can the 2 Silvas cash? I do think both could get the win here. And I do think both get finishes. And also, do I want to add who? Who else do I feel like adding? Like if we want to push it to 5, which is just danger zone, real risk. If you're going to go risk, you might as well take Dan Ige. Plus 1,218. I mean, it's not going to be exactly that, depending where you're playing at. But that's a pretty decent 5-fight parlay, I think. Definitely more of a stretch. I mean, we can just have some fun with it. And if we were to add in one of the dogs here, like Julian Erosa, it's at plus 2,000 money. Or if you like Kanako Murata, it's also at that plus 2,000 money. Overall, some interesting parlays. But, like, my advice betting-wise is be very intelligent on this card. 2-fighter parlays if you are throwing any substantial amount of income at it. And as far as 3-fighter parlays are going to bring you to more risky territory. 4-fighter parlays are straight red zone here. And 5-fighters are just, it's just danger zone at that point. It's true lottery plays because throughout the card, it's very common that somebody is going to lose that you predict to win. That's the fight game. And that's how it tends to go. As far as the bets, I think mostly the fighters that we already talked about are the ones that would have, the value to bet on. I don't think you want to go too crazy with the women's MMA, but I do think Procopio should get the win. So it can bring you to plus 2,097. But at the end of the day, you're playing women's MMA, which is just inherently more risky than men's MMA lately. Like you just see it from sometimes the craziest things happen in women's MMA. I'd skip that Roque Martinez fight bet, the Murata Jandiroba dog or pass type play. Honestly, some okay spots for betting. Overall, I think it's an enjoyable card. I'm actually really pumped for it. I appreciate everybody tuning in to this UFC Vegas 29 best bets for the Korean Zombie versus Dan Ige. And also check up on that live chat as well before we get out of here and see what's popping in there. What's going on, everybody in the live chat? Parisian by decision. I mean, you could play it. The main reason I'm not crazy about it is just because neither of them are that good. Yeah, make sure you guys smash that like button. Goal, as I said, 75 likes on this video. You think that he's better than Ige? He could win it for sure. I like Ige. I'm on Ige here. Spivak Vera should be on the money. Yeah, I agree with that one. You like Parisian, Spivak, Choi? See what the value's at right there. Oh, you're on Choi here. Let's see, Spivak. Let me just pull it up. Spivak, Choi, and let me see who else you said. Sorry about that. I got to get this live chat up. And Spivak, Choi, and Parisian. You like Parisian. Dude, are you really that confident in Parisian? Come on, man. He lost to Parker Porter. Plus 300 for 34. Not terrible value, but you're risking it with especially Parisian. I mean, I think it's more likely Choi wins than... I mean, it's not more likely, but money-wise, I'd rather throw that on Choi, who I'm picking against, than Josh Parisian. I'm just not supremely confident in him. He should get a win finally in the UFC, but we've seen guys lose plenty of fights, man. Spivak Vera's good on the money. No, I hope Vera doesn't lose, man. I'd be very disappointed if so. Bovada isn't allowing PFL parlays. That's annoying, man. That's super annoying. Hey, man. Greeting to you, Russia. Greeting to you, my guy. Appreciate you for tuning in. Guys, I appreciate all of you for tuning in. You got any parlays ideas, man? You think Parisian's coming for redemption? He absolutely is. Don't get me wrong. And it's like he's got the perfect matchup. He's taken on a slow, plodding heavyweight who is literally, 5'10"? Not much of a threat, but dude, Parisian's just not that great, and he's not super physically strong. He can be out-muscled here by the fat boy. I'm telling you, like, I would be nervous if you're betting Parisian. Fat boy might get to him. Overall, the card's pretty solid. The bets should be pretty fun. I'm looking forward to the action. As far as like the parlays, as I said, I like the two-fighter parlays. I don't want to go crazy here and end up, blowing my wad at some crazy stuff and getting reamed at the lines. I think that safer parlays, two-fighter parlays, good likelihood of cashing, especially that Vera and Sergey Spivak one. I think this right here, we'll leave it on the screen here because I do think that's a money play right there. I really do. I'm excited for the card, though, and I really do appreciate everybody tuning in. Totally off subject, Anderson Silva's fighting this weekend against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. That's going to be so weird to see Silva boxing. These judges are preventing you from buying your mama crib. Hey, man, I'm sorry. Sorry, man. You leave it in the hands of the judges. Betting is it's a dangerous game, but it's definitely a game that you can cash big in and you can lose big in. You can definitely go both ways. But yeah, it's so crazy to see Anderson Silva boxing. Early lean on that one for you guys tuning in. You're getting my take. I haven't released a prediction for it. I might break it down, but I really feel like Cesar Chavez should box his ass off. I mean, if you look at Silva hitting the bag, hitting the pads, like he can strike. He definitely can strike. But boxing is so precise. It's so dependent on how fast you bring your hands back to your face, the angle, this. Like, it's so many little technicalities that Silva just, from years of doing mixed martial arts, is just not going to be used to. And for me, I think Silva goes down. I think Silva loses that fight. I do think he probably ends up losing it. You said Silva's you think he should have retired years ago? Hey, man, he's cashing, though. Remember, he's making a lot of money. I think that Silva, realistically speaking, in that fight, prediction, I'm going to go Chavez Jr. right now. This feeling like 6th round knockout, but he might carry him and they might go 8. Don't be surprised if we see 8 rounds and Chavez Jr. Just works him a bit like that. But overall, good card for this UFC Vegas 29. Don't want to go too crazy talking about other subjects, but I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you haven't yet, smash the like button. As I said, goal 75 likes. The UFC Vegas 29 best bets. The best bet series is here, and it is here to stay, and I'm so happy to be bringing it back this week. Thank you all so much. I am going to get out of here, and I will see you all in the next video. And subscribe, too, if you guys are new here and you haven't yet. Have a great day, guys.